Hello and welcome to a night or afternoon or morning of Reviews with Carlito, as the title says there. Yeah. Anyways, um, as we have this smooth, smooth jazz playing in the background, I'm gonna attempt to review the latest and greatest, or is it Tarsier, Tarsier? I don't know whatever they call it. It's the new 4K camera from Caddx FPV, and yes, I'm gonna be checking out. We're gonna be checking some videos that I've done previously. Um, I can say that I'm a bit disappointed with the how the video is, but uh, being the stubborn guy that I am, I didn't. I, I couldn't just have like a bad video and do nothing about it. I really would love this camera to work, so I've done a couple of changes and figured out or tried to figure out what was the best options for the camera to actually work, and that's what I'm gonna be. That's what I'm gonna be showing you guys in this video as well. Before we start, this is all filmed with this little bugger. It's a 2.5 inch um, drone. That's it. It's smooth as butter. Never had any issues with it, and the previous camera that I had here before was perfect. So I would expect the same. Well, actually, I would expect better from this camera. But is that what happened? Really? Well, let's find out. So before, did you like that smooth transition? um, we're gonna start with the camera in its original state. So unchanged, just lower the audio here a little bit. Unchanged, the camera is exactly as it came from factory. No ND filter, no nothing, just the camera on a quad. And recording in 4K, this is what I got. So right away, from the get-go, you could see all the shakiness and wobbles that go here and here. Not very good, really. The image as well is a bit overexposed on the top, and edges are smoothed out, I guess because, oh, here is a bit better. But I guess because my best, so see this shakiness here. My best guess is that the sensor is too sensitive to vibrations. So if your quad has even the slightest prop bent in any place whatsoever, it's going to be exposed in the video by tenfold. Um, I have to say that in the FPV video side of it, because as you might have noticed, let me go back to the other screen, might have noticed there's two cameras. So the top one is actually the one recording, and then the bottom one is the FPV camera. And in the FPV, you don't really notice this jittery as much. You notice a little bit of wobble sometimes, which is odd. I've never noticed wobble in an FPV camera before, but not this jittery from the that you see in the video recording. So I'm doing a little bit of freestyle here. You can see again the wobbles and the warbles here. The image quality seems to be okay-ish, but this is not. This is like unusable video that I have here, like all the jello. And there's weird stuff that happens sometimes as well. Like I'm gonna put in a new video here so you can notice it a little bit better. Again, this is the original camera, no modifications, just me flying in some location over water. And there's this weird thing that happens sometimes. I don't know what that was. Just flying in front of the camera. So there's this thing that happens sometimes where the camera wobbles sideways. Again, this is recording in 4K, 25 frames per second because this is the PAL setting. See there, like the camera is wobbling sideways, and then you have the regular wobble on it. But I think it's apparent. It's not here yet. Oh, there we go. I don't know if you noticed that. When I'm turning here, turning into this ditch here, the camera appears to be like moving sideways. I'm not really sure why that happens. It's like, see there's some, it looks like there's some slight zoom in and then like sideways motion from the camera. My best guess again is that there's some type of anti, shake or stabilization, a digital stabilization playing havoc here in the footage, even though I have the stabilization disabled directly in the app. So I don't know why that would still show, but there's definitely, you can really see it on here. Like the camera is, it's like it's going sideways. I'm not really sure what's happening. Again, there a little bit on the right on the turn to the split S. There's some, like, I don't know. It seems like the camera is going sideways, and then all the wobbling, all the parables. Big expectations for this camera, and seriously disappointed. Like, if you take a look at this video, if I had a regular camera on here, I'm sure the footage would look nice. There you go again on that turn into. You can really see it if you look at this little bridge there. I don't know. It's like it's skipping frames or trying to adjust the image to in some sort of way, which I'm not sure why. So this is the original camera. No modifications, no filtering. Then I went to Gem, Drone Junkie, and we were testing the camera with filtering there. So also on 4K, and we're just flying in his garden. And you can see now it's blurry all the time, like every single time here, every pause that I do in a video, there's something blurred, and I'm pretty sure that this is because of the filter that the camera had this time. So, real shame. All the edges are smoothed out. You can't really see any type of detail. Like this is not really not 4K that is showing here. And all these mini vibrations is just corrupting the footage really, because this would be unusable. Like, look at this blurred out tree here on the left. And again, you see, like, every time that I'm diving on turning into something, it's like the image is trying to adjust itself. Let's put that again. It's not smooth, and it doesn't look like this in the FPV's footage as well. It's just a smooth action of me going into that little road there. Like a little bit of vibration going up. Again, there's no tune issues with the quad. I've used this quad so many times with the, oh, and then I got stuck in a tree there. I've used this quad so many times with different cameras, and I had no issues with them. But wait, there's hope. There's hope still, because, as I mentioned, I'm extremely stubborn. And that means that I've been trying some different things on this camera. I would really love that this camera would work, and it's not a cheap camera either. So I was not content with the way that this video was looking, so I tried my best to see if I managed to understand where the problem was coming from and try and fix it somehow. I think part of it will be something that has to be done digitally on the camera, like a firmware update to try and resolve this. What's happening with the stabilization? It's not normal. I've never seen a camera do that. Um, and then the other thing, which I found, and that has removed most of the vibrations, is actually, see the top camera there? Sorry, the top lens. That's a different lens. So on the top lens, which again is the recording lens, I've changed it for a 2.3 millimeter run cam lens, and that has, I think, considerably changed how the image takes place. Also, the other thing is that I've started recording in 2.7. Now, I'm not sure because I didn't make the camera, but this image is not 4K. And if you go and check in the app, you can see that um, the 4K and the 2.7 have the same frames per second, and that's not very common. Like the 2.7 should have a bit more frames per second, which makes me think, due to the quality of the 4K matching the 2.7K, I think the camera is not really 4K, it's just being upscaled from 2.7 to 4K. But again, this is just hearsay. I don't know for sure. That's just from what I can see in the videos that I've been recording. So, after um, after having changed the camera, I went out again, or the lens rather. I went out again and I decided to do a couple more experiments. So this, as you can see from my poor attempt here, the camera doesn't have any filters, any filters, and I'm recording in 2.7 this time. And look at that. I think you can see right away that the quality is a lot more defined, and there's still some like sideways wobble, which is why I think that there needs to be some firmware update somewhere. Uh, but it's a lot better than the other videos. A little bit of twisty there, and as you can see, like in the 4K, things looked a bit odd when you start like twisting and turning around. And I have another 4K recorded with this lens as well, and it's exactly the same thing. But in 2.7, it feels a lot better and a lot smoother. Now, again, if you notice, oh no, where was it? Well, we'll get to it again. There's still a little bit of, I don't know, sideways camera tilt or something. I don't know what it is. But you can see the details. You can actually see the leaves here. You can see the branches and the leaves. Although at the edges they start getting a little bit meh, but a lot better than the quality that I had in 4K that you just saw. Here the details of the leaves in the floor, blue sky, and even here, see all the details are apparent. You can actually see some leaves in the trees. And it's just, oh, did you notice that? Did you notice that little wobble there? Like that wobble, why was it there? The quad didn't wobble. It's a sideways shimmy that you see there. And this is the type of things that I can't really explain why are they happening. Like obviously they're not apparent if you're like just hauling ass and just doing freestyle. I had a little bit of failsafe there. But if you're just flying smoothly around, any twitch or anything becomes ultra apparent. And again, I think this is just because there's a either limitation or the sensor is just too sensitive. But look at this. Look at the quality of, you can actually see the leaves. Now I'm going to transit to the 2.7 with a filter. So it has a little filter on it. You can see, you probably can't see there. Trust me, it has a filter on it. And right away, look at this. All blurry, no definition, no edges. Now I think maybe some of this can be fixed by changing the ISO, but I guarantee that most of the pilots aren't going to be like changing ISOs just to go out and have a nice freestyle footage if it's too bright, or if they're having like camera issues and they want the ND filter to magically fix all of their wobbling and problems. That's not going to happen. And then you're going to end up with footage like this. Like you can see, where's the definition? There's all of this is blurred out, all blurred out. You can barely see this any trees here. You can, what's that? You can barely see, there's some clouds there. You can't even see the edges of it because they're blurred out. It's all so soft that this might have been just recorded with, you know, a pocket camera, 1080p pocket camera. The smoothness is there though. Like again, I don't notice, I haven't noticed any jitters or anything, but every now and again there's something odd on the footage that I can't really explain or understand. Like there, like that split second when I'm turning there just before I start the turning, it's like the image tries to autocorrect itself. I can't explain it why or how that happens. Look, all blurred out, and you can see the blue edges that the ND filter is creating. Oh dear. A little bit better now? No, still the same, like everything is blurred out. Compared to the footage that I've just passed before, where you can actually see the detail, the shape of a leaf. This is just like a conglomerate of green in different shapes and colors. You can't really see it's a leaf or if it's not a leaf. Then what I try to do is to record the same in 4K. So I recorded 4K, no filters, again with this lens change to RunCam. And again, you start to notice a little bit more of the tremors right at the start. The quality not that great. And there's just like odd things happening in the video. Some tremors there. This is with the filter, remember. Right, the same quad, same everything, nothing's changed. Same props. Oh dear, see the turning and spinning there looks so strange. It just blurs everything into one another. You can notice a little bit of detail there in the flower, in the plants, every now and again, but then immediately everything is a conglomerate of green, and the floor is, I don't know, I can't even explain it. A little bit of green here. That's the thing. I don't know what's happening. Like, look at this. You can't. What's that? It's a blur. Blur. More or less alright. More or less alright. And then horrible blur. And then you can see it's a greenish tree here. And parts are blurred, parts are fine. Like the edging is fine. Horrible blur. That's why, this is the type of things that makes me think that the camera is meant for 2.7K and not 4K. Lastly, I have a 4K recording. See, me saying 4 for 4K. Cleaning the screen, make sure the lens is all cleaned up, cleaning the filter afterwards. So this is with a filter. So sorry, before it was without the filter, and this is with a filter. And again, look, blurry, everything blurry. Oh, Jesus. Might as well shake the camera at it. And again, there's these things, especially when you change movements from one side to the other very quickly, you can really see the camera is struggling to adapt, and it seems like it's trying to correct itself digitally, even though like all the settings are turned off, all the digital stabilization, every single setting is turned off. You can see a couple of leaves here, all blurred out with no detail whatsoever, and then a massive blur of the horizon. Oh, and then the I lost telemetry and ended up crashing. So, final thoughts. I would love if this camera could be the salvation, whatever you want to call it, that everyone could get beautiful 4K videos, but I don't think we're there yet. I think with some tweaks, changes, we can use this camera in 2.7K and have it semi-stable. Um, but is that good enough? I don't know. I'm gonna keep on trying. Even Caddx have gotten in touch, and I'm gonna just tell them what I think about the camera. Now, really, the two things, if I could redo this camera and change it, I think it would be maybe taking a look at the sensor of the, or even maybe the FPV and the recording, and ensuring that the firmware is up to scratch. Um, the app is great, allows me to change cameras, and then I can just check on the app to see if the lens is actually the correct focal distance. Um, but there's a lot of lack of information. Most people don't know how to use this camera, or what's the best settings that they should be using, or even what the settings mean, because the manual is just very light, touching on the things that the camera has. So that also needs a lot of work, better manual, explanation, videos explaining what settings, videos from Caddx obviously, and I guess from YouTubers as well, explaining what best settings you can use with this camera. And um, yeah, that's pretty much it. So hopefully in this future, um, some of these things that I noted can be resolved, maybe, I don't know. I would like to see more people try different mods, maybe changing the lens as I did. And again, I'm using a 2.3 millimeter RunCam lens. Um, yeah, I would love to see more from you guys, and to see if you were able to get better results of this camera, and just like perfect stable footage throughout, not just if you have an impeccable quad that cannot the props cannot touch anything. Otherwise, the footage is going to be irreparably broken. Because let's face it, you're never going to have a quad that is absolutely perfect all the time, right? So the camera needs to allow for that in order for you to get a good recording. Otherwise, you're never gonna know if the recording was good until examine the footage afterwards, and then you go like, oh, sorry, it's all shaky because a prop was like just slightly off. Again, hopefully this can be resolved, and that is it for this review. I do hope that you have enjoyed. If you do, remember to subscribe, leave a like on this video, tell all of your friends, get my contacts all over there, so you can PV in YouTube, Instagram, and then Facebook. And I'll see you all on the next video. Bye bye.